Many consumers are really hurt financially. They have money stuck on FTX, etc. That's going to really shake confidence in trust, credibility in this industry. So now people withdrawing funds from centralized exchanges and the volume will decrease. The regulators all around the world will be scrutinizing us very heavily going forward. And getting new licenses around the world is going to become much harder. So we'll have a lot more education to do. We do need to increase transparency of our businesses significantly. That itself is actually probably a good thing. So this is going to be like a lot of impact. Short-term negative, long-term I actually think many of them are actually going to be positive. The Bitcoin price is pretty much an industry index, and being a larger player in the industry, we follow that pretty closely. But that we're okay. So we still run a profitable business today. We're okay. Yeah. So some of them I can do mental mathematics and kind of have some suspicions, but it's very difficult to not understand what's going on in a different platform, in a different business. It's only for me, I was very surprised by the amount of money that they lost and the amount of customer funds they moved and the state of things there. I mean, before this, I can do some mental mathematics. Based on our revenue, and our relative size, and we can estimate their revenue, which is quite small because they charge lower fees. We know most of their public spendings. We know how much they spend on, stadium naming rights, referee jerseys, marketing budgets, etc. We also know how much funds they raised, which is not much, to be honest. And then we also know we kind of having a rough idea. But we never know for sure because they could be doing something different. Look, we're just selling some FTT tokens, and it wasn't a huge stash. It was like 3% of the total supply, and we said we're gonna sell it over a period of months. I think we were the last straw that broke the camel's back. It's not the straw that's really strong. This thing has been building up. There's a long chain of events that led to this. People have been losing trust in FTX. Many other people were suspicious of the activities going on. So there was many things that's building up to this thing where we may or may not have been the last trigger. It may be something else. To be honest, even if I didn't make that tweet, this whole thing could still happen. So it's not to say that the last straw that have such impact. So it was the buildup of the lack of trust in FTX and people's suspicions. People don't like the way that the DeFi regulations were proposed by them. There's a whole bunch of stuff that built up to it. I may have happened to be the last thing that poked it. So if we want to diversify our revenues today, we can quite easily do that. We have quite a large number of portfolio products. We have CoinMarketCap. When we acquired CoinMarketCap, they were making $3 million per month in ad revenues. We removed all ads. So there's no banners, no pop-ups, no other projects advertising the ICO on CoinMarketCap. It's a much cleaner experience. We can turn that back on. That'll give us $40 million a year. But we don't need to today. We have Trust Wallet. We can charge a little fee for transactions. We don't need to. So I think today we're still profitable. We're still very healthy. And we want to lower the barrier, the friction for people using crypto tools. We want to get more people to use crypto. So today we don't see the need. But if we do, we have many products. Right now we're single revenue, but we're not single product. We have many products we provide for free, to increase the speed of adoption. But if we want to monetize those, we could. I don't foresee that happening anytime in the short term. I think we're still very healthy financially. We're quite solid. We have a fairly large cash reserves, which we use for acquisitions, investments, and helping other projects. On a day-to-day operations, we're still profitable. So I don't see any need for turning on other revenue matrices. Yeah. If we had stronger audit on reserves, on how money is used, how client funds are saved. If we have more of those mechanisms, this thing probably could have been prevented or reduced. It's never 100%. When a guy wants to lie, there's many different ways he could fake the data, give you false information, etc. I think all of those, and that concern applies to every business, not just in crypto. So I think as consumers, when we're using platforms, especially if you're storing money onto a platform, including a bank, you should ask those questions. So I think those are very valid questions. But in the blockchain world, things can be much more transparent. So we're doing that proof of reserves, which using like Merkle tree, so that people can verify that the assets are included. and we have full reserves. And so so there are many ways to be more transparent. We publish our cold wallet addresses. We are now working with multiple regulators all around the world on how to do this audit more transparently and more automatically. So we're doing a number of those things, but every user should verify on their own. And if you don't trade often and you can hold crypto on your own, do hold crypto on your own. But holding crypto on your own also have certain risks. So but we want to be as transparent as possible. The risk is always there. But I think today, Binance, we have 100% reserve for user assets. Operating assets are completely separate. We have a large reserve for that as well. So I think, knock on wood, we are in a we're in a very different situation than FTX. So, but just because one company is mismanaged in an industry doesn't mean every other company is mismanaged. But people, those are wrong information. I cleared it up today in the Abu Dhabi conference. Binance is not banned from operating in the UK. Binance does not have a license to operate in the UK. That's different from being banned.
Sure.
UK as a Commonwealth country allows reverse solicitation. As long as we don't solicit, like advertise in UK, if a UK user come to us, it's fine.
But why don't you have the license?
We're the most licensed platform in the world globally. We have 15 licenses globally. Many countries haven't issued that many licenses. So that's just a state of things today in the world. We are working collaboratively with the FCA. We have ongoing dialogues with them. We would like to get the license, but today we haven't got it yet. But we're not banned. Those things are different. So don't take what the news too verbatimly. And in the U.S., we have Binance US has 44 state licenses. 10 of them are granted in the last 12 months. So that basically shows you the status of things in the US. But yeah, sorry, what was your question? Having a license increases trust, but it's not a 100% thing. It's just that it doesn't, like many licensed entities. Madoff is a licensed fund manager, and they lost 10x more than FTX. So having a license increases trust, but it's not guaranteed. Trust is still built over time with your actions and with your technology. We in this industry, we have many technologies that can allow people to verify on their own. So with those technologies being more and more deployed, I think the trust will increase. So trust is not a simple one flip switch. FTX has many licenses in the world, and guess what? They were lying.
Right.
So so I think there's many different aspects to trust, but I think as long as we continue to operate ethically, transparently, and always protect our users. Our users are pretty smart these days. Like information, social media is pretty fast and pretty good. So I think there's no magic solution, and we just got to earn it over time. But yeah, so publishing your cold wallet addresses is just one first. Actually, it's a very short-term, temporary method. It's actually not it definitely doesn't mean like just because you publish your cold wallet addresses, you're 100% guaranteed. And as we have seen in certain cases, they actually increases the amount of questions when things don't really add up. And proof of reserve is not the only one. How secure is your wallet structure, the infrastructure? What kind of technologies do you use? Your custody solution? There's many things that needs to be done. Even how you handle customer disputes. In which situations do you compensate users or not compensate users? All of these things are like topics that needs to be addressed over time. So so there's many topics. But a week ago, people were very focused on loans, stable coins, because that's USD Luna. But now, given FTX, now this focus, the latest focus will be on reserves. But there's many other things we do need to focus on. We may or may not be, as an industry, fully focused on them yet. But people learn from recent events. So that's kind of how we evolve. Yeah. I mean, we have a very good we operate at scale. So we believe, best practices for all of these things. And we actually would like to share many of them to make them industry standards, like how we manage wallets. And I think we have one of the most secure technologies for managing wallets. And we also manage the largest wallet in the world. So we'd like to share some of those best practices. So there's many things we would like to share, but we can only do one thing at a time. Today is proof of reserves for the next couple of weeks. We'll get that done, and then we'll move on to the next one. People will work together. As soon as two people work together, is that centralization or not? That is kind of centralization. And if a company of 2,000 people works together and they build a platform that many other people like to use, in a free market, there will be some centralization. And so decentralization doesn't mean everyone just are completely isolated and everyone's equal. That's communism. That's different from capitalism. That's different from free market. So this decentralization versus centralization concept should be viewed in a balance. Today, we have centralized entities in both the traditional financial world and also in the also in the crypto world. And tomorrow, it's going to be the same thing. Hopefully, over time, the technology will allow more of the tasks to be able to be done by individuals, so that we are moving towards decentralization. Today, if you ask everybody in the world who does not have crypto to hold crypto on their own, they're not technically capable of doing that. I think you and I know that already, right? So if we just force people to go from banks directly to DeFi, most of them will lose their own money because they misplaced it, or they lost their device, or they don't know how to encrypt it, etc. So that's not the best way to grow the industry. So today, more people will be more comfortable with email address, customer support. So this is why centralized entities still exist. So I think it will coexist for a while. Well, I think many other exchanges potentially may have exposure to FTX going down. Now, FTX going down, there's rumors of Genesis Genesis paused withdrawals. So there's rumors of their liquidity issues there. And now Gemini may be affected by that. So there's multiple interdependencies in the ecosystem. I think people should look for much more independent, well-run, isolated businesses, which Binance.com is one of those examples. We don't rely on other third-party loan providers, etc. So, and the loan business is high risk in the industry. So any loan platforms are at high risk. I'm not saying that all of them are going to have problems. A few may, most of them will be fine. So other than that, I don't like this. In any industry, especially a new one like ours, there's many risks. Even in the internet industry, there's many risks. In the traditional industry, there's many risks. So yeah, I mean, in Lebanon, the banks stopped withdrawals, right? So the banks stopped working for a month. Same thing, Ukraine. Well, Ukraine's kind of recovered a bit. So yeah, there's many risks in many different places. I won't be able. To be honest, everything has risks. So I won't be able to name all of them. It's just that people should understand that risk is not a black and white thing. And then they should learn to judge the level of risk for themselves, because they are more familiar with the things they interact with or use. And that risk management mindset is really important. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and always have a backup way.